Howdy there, friends, family, adversaries, ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary folks. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Riley Constantine, aka Biological Riley, and today we are talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake yet again, because I just can't get enough of it. I love talking about it, it's fun, it's a great game, and I found it to be incredibly relatable. Also, as you can see, the green screen is back. I figured the green screen backdrop was better than what I had going previously, so that's back, and yeah, that's all there is for updates, and with that, on to the video. Obsessive-compulsive disorder is the ruination of joy. While the Oxford Dictionary describes this mental health condition as a personality disorder characterized by excessive orderliness, perfectionism, attention to details, and a need for control in relating to others, this descriptor does not do this all-consuming illness justice. Unlike media portrayals such as Hannibal or Monk, obsessive-compulsive disorder, or OCD for short, is more than just being well organized and intense over attention to detail or germophobia. In fact, this mental illness is an extreme form of anxiety disorder. Those afflicted with OCD live in constant distress, double thinking and even triple thinking the most seemingly minuscule detail, ranging from whether or not they locked a door or if they committed a sin damning them to hell. Back when I was in middle school, I thought that the seventh circle of hell was reserved for people that illegally downloaded music off LimeWire, aka me, but I really hope that's not the case, because if it's true, my generation is screwed. Whatever the case, dealing with these tumultuous thoughts is downright overwhelming, and I speak from experience. As someone living with this mental illness, I can personally attest that it is monumentally difficult to lead a normal existence under the severe duress induced by obsessive-compulsive disorder. When I was a teenager, I randomly worried about losing my arms for several days and became anxious that the police would come after me for driving past the speed limit. And in adulthood, my intrusive thoughts have become more existential. I all too often ponder life's meaningless intricacies. Even though I do not desire to dwell on such a morbid idea, hell, I don't even believe it's true, I can't help but spend hours and hours thinking about life's lack of purpose. As a result, I'm trapped in my own head with repetitive negative thoughts. Unable to control these inescapable obsessions and compulsions, I've had to fend for myself for most of my life. And I mostly fought OCD alone. I rarely allowed people to witness me in such a vulnerable state, and instead, I spent a great portion of my childhood and young adulthood hiding my pain. I obscured my inner turmoil and often did not seek personal aid or professional medical help for that matter, because I did not want to appear weak. Mental illnesses carry a profound stigma, and while I eventually sought help, I did not desire to be labeled with a condition containing such a negative connotation for the longest time. By my own action, I fought my inner demons in isolation, even though I should have asked for assistance from friends, family, and healthcare professionals. Something I wish I could tell my younger self is never feel bad about asking for help. Yes, I know that mental health is negative connotations and has a social stigma, but every now and then people need to see doctors and, get some therapy or just be able to talk it out with friends and family. No one should go through this alone. Final Fantasy VII Remake reminded me of my past battles with obsessive-compulsive disorder and my underlying depression. In fact, the newly released Square Enix reimagining of the 1997 turn-based RPG classic resonated with me in a big way. Beyond being a damn good video game, Final Fantasy VII Remake struck a chord with me due to my turbulent history with mental illness. Yes, this silly game featuring a chocobo cowboy with a Sam Elliott-style drawl hit me incredibly close to home, and to explain why, we need to take a closer look at Cloud Strife, Final Fantasy VII Remake's main protagonist. And no, I'm not talking about his stylish hair or his dreamy eyes. Final Fantasy VII Remake's strong relatability stems from Cloud Strife. In the game, Cloud is a cipher. From the very start of the title, Cloud keeps his emotions and personal history close to the vest. To the other characters and the player, he's an emotional brick wall. We know nothing in regards to his past, pain, and trauma. Cloud's very existence and personal motivations are a mystery, and one that Final Fantasy VII Remake doesn't even resolve. Simply put, he He is the living embodiment of a question mark, though not necessarily in the same vein as Ziggy Stardust. Admittedly, Cloud's mystifying characterization can be perceived as a fault with the game. He is a man of few words, and compared with other key characters like Tifa, Barrett, and Aerith, Cloud lacks personality. Hell, his character is arguably a vacuum. Upon starting the game, we know little about Cloud, and due to Cloud's undefined character traits, the player can easily project themselves onto him. Out of the core cast, Cloud has the least definition as a character, letting players use him as their personal stand-in within Final Fantasy VII Remake's world. This criticism, however, neglects a key part of Cloud's character. Cloud may act like an empty void of a person, but there is conflict, or strife if you want to get really cutesy, brimming beneath the surface. Early on in Final Fantasy VII Remake, we learn that something is amiss with Cloud. Throughout the game, Cloud becomes overwhelmed with a pain in his head, and is forced to pause whatever activity he was doing in order to deal with this distress. While he will lie and claim that he is fine, Cloud is experiencing deep emotional anguish, and despite the severity of his pain, he does not allow anyone to see him vulnerable lest he be perceived as fragile. And this is ultimately why I really connect with Cloud Strife. Truth be told, I was just like Cloud in many regards. For many years, I too shut out my friends and family and tried to deal with my intense emotional pain by my lonesome. Like Cloud, I desired to be seen as capable of taking care of myself, and even though I endured several mental health episodes where I engaged in self-harm, fainted, and muttered to people who were not there, I tried to play it off. I just did not want to be seen as a weakling, and when playing as Cloud in Final Fantasy VII Remake, I saw my own plight reflected back at me. Cloud may just be a video game character, but his pain feels all too real. Cloud's character arc reminded me of my past mistakes. Most notable of these relatable missteps was my long reticence to acquire help. Talking with friends, getting prescribed medication, and learning new coping strategies was ultimately beneficial. While opening up to others about my emotional wounds was frightening, I gained tools equipping me with the ability to finally combat my OCD. Sure, divulging my inner agony to others was difficult, but the rewards were more than worth it. Once again, if you're suffering from depression or any other mental illness, please seek help. It is not a sign of weakness. Cloud still needs to realize this truth. While he displays more personality as Final Fantasy VII Remake progresses, Cloud's inner demons remain locked away in his psyche. Even though he tells others that there's nothing wrong with exhibiting emotions, Cloud doesn't grant himself that same permission to express his own feelings. And in order to overcome his trauma, Cloud must be strong by trusting his friends to support him. And if he can manage this, Cloud may finally be able to end his strife. And with that was the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like rating and subscribe to my channel. The engagement helps put this into the feed of potential new viewers. Also, please leave a comment telling me what you think of Final Fantasy VII Remake and Cloud Strife as a character. Additionally, consider contributing to my Patreon. Every dollar helps keep this show going and improving it. And speaking of Patreon, I just want to thank my high tier patrons, Slasher Veils, Mom, Miles Nelson, and David Devlin. Thank you so much for supporting what I do. Love y'all.